talk a lot about meaning at work, and generally we're talking about purpose, if you like. There's a lofty thing, and we will, as company leaders, we like to put worthy words on slides and show them to everybody. And this is our purpose, or this is our mission, or this is our vision, or this is the, and it all adds up to this is the point of this place. This is what we want you to be excited about. But there's actually a different sense of meaning. If you go and look at the scientific literature, there's a much simpler sense of meaning, which is, does the world make sense? Because if the world doesn't make sense, we don't get to vision, and we don't get to purpose, and we don't get to aspiration, and we don't get to goal, and we don't get to any of those other things, because the world is just noisy and chaotic. And so it's impossible for us to see our way to the big things, which are important and are helpful for humans, but we can't see our way to the biggest sense if what's in front of us every day is literally nonsense. When you look at the scientific literature on meaning, you find that when you deprive a human being of the sense-makingness of the world, they will go and try and find more of it elsewhere. So it's so important to us that we need a certain amount of coherence in our lives, and to the extent that one bit of life becomes incoherent, we go and find more meaning, more sense, we ask other things to be more explicative of our world. We go down little rabbit holes of, this has got to mean more, this has got to make sense over here, because this is a hot mess. So meaning is really, really important to us, and of course, as soon as you start creating change, you are, again, throwing up in the air how everything used to hang together. And the hang-togetherness is really important for us. When you say, I'm excited to announce, you're not. You're just at work. You want other people to be excited, so you are trying to performatively have a big positive emotion. But are you really excited about the new vendor? Is that what excitement looks like for you? We live sad and constrained lives if we're actually excited by all the things we claim to be excited about at work. Are you actually excited about the reorg? Are you actually excited about the acquisition? Not excited, maybe hopeful, optimistic, feeling good, feeling relieved. Excited? It's not excited. But we say excited, and we say many other things which are sort of unreal words at work. So excited, we say we're thrilled. Oh, have you said, you know the thing where the new thing is even better? Have you come across that one? This will allow us to do even better at. Because if we said better, the old way would not be better. It would be bad. And we can't imagine the old way was bad. The old way was better, so the new way is even better. You see what happens? And it's all the relentless positivity march up and to the right. Which is fine for us to feel and think, but when people read these things, they're like, you're disassociated with reality. You cannot possibly be excited about the things you say you're excited about. If you're thrilled about that, you're a weird dude. And why is everything even better? Can't it just be better? This is how, we don't go home and go, kids, we've got a new car and it's going to be even better than the old car. You don't say that. You go, it's going to be better. So we don't talk this way outside work, but we talk this way at work, and when we do so, we remove reality, we remove meaning, we remove understanding. You're all familiar with these words: strategic, the drywall compound of business language. If it looks a little, forgive me, crappy, then slap some strategic on the beginning of it, and it will shine it up right away. So we have strategic initiatives because they're better than initiatives. And we have strategic assets because they're shinier than assets. And we have strategic this and strategic that. But none of them mean strategic. And by the way, the test is if you X out the word strategic and write the word tactical, does it actually change what you're talking about? And usually not. So we like to throw strategic around. We love transformations. And have you noticed how every bad thing now is an opportunity? The poor performer has a growth opportunity. The underperforming business has a growth opportunity. Do you ever go to your doctor and say, I'm feeling unwell, I think I have a health opportunity? But at work, everything's an opportunity. And what it means is that we don't say the word problem. And again, you want to divorce people from reality, then put them in a world that is obviously full of problems and ban the word problem. And it scrambles people's brains. Teams really are the sun, moon, and the stars of our experience at work. There was a finding from Gallup a couple of weeks ago. 70% of your experience at work is determined by your team and the team leader. So they've actually put a number on it, which is weird because not 70% of our effort to make people have a good experience at work is focused on teams. 70% of it is focused on, I don't know, internal PR or sending emails about change or telling people how excited we are about everything. It's not focused on teams. It's very strange. Teams are like this messy thing that we don't really understand and we can't figure out what to do with, and they're there, yes, but we would rather think of people as individuals who have to be recruited as individuals, hired as individuals, paid as individuals, given feedback in sandwiches as individuals. Organizations think of an employee one at a time, but the employee experiences team. My work is my team. My work is the other people here. So, A, teams are really important. B, teams are a beautiful source of stability. So let me just build this. I've done this study a couple of times now, and Gallup and the people at Gallup and Marcus Buckingham have done this study hundreds of times. But there is a way to figure out the characteristics of a high-performing team. And you find out that there is a group of things which show up on the best teams that do not show up on average teams or struggling teams. They're roughly exactly in three buckets. There are some individual things, some characteristics of the team, and then some characteristics of the company. Okay? So the individual things are things like, I get to do my best work every day. I know what's expected of me. I will get recognized for excellent work. Those are me things, right? Individual things. The team things are things as you would expect. My teammates have my back. We have a shared sense of excellence on this team. So they're sort of we things. And the company things are I'm excited about the mission of the company. I'm confident in the future of the company. Okay, so there's some stuff about me. Do I know what my job is? Do I know what's expected of me? There's some stuff about us. Do I feel supported by my teammates? And there's stuff about the big us, the big company. Am I excited by the mission? Here's the weird thing. Team mediates all of those. If I move you, this is the study we did at Cisco, if I move you from one team to another, your sense of all of those changes. Here's what we should know at work, and we don't, for the most part, about teams. We should know, how many teams do we have in our company? Which is like the first question. You're going to be a student of teams and create great teams? Start with how many? How many are there? Most companies will tell you, well, we know how many are on the org chart. And you go, thank you, yes, I imagined you might. How many are not on the org chart? And they go, okay, well, don't really know. Well, are the ones that are not on the org chart important to you in any way? Well, yeah, those are the strategic project teams. Those are the transformation teams. Those are the teams we put together when we want to get big things done. All right, how many of those have you got? Don't know. Well, how many of them are any good? Don't know, because we don't know where they are, because we don't count them. We count the org chart teams, and we don't count the special purpose extra teams or the spontaneous teams that people formed by themselves because they want to get something done, or the interconnecting teams, or the breaking down silos teams, or any of those other things. We don't know how many there are. And therefore, we don't know the answer to the second question. What makes the difference between the best teams and the worst teams? Because if you can't find them all, you don't have a sample to study. And you can't tell whether the org chart teams are in some way different from the spontaneous teams. And you can't tell what's going on inside the teams, because you can't find the teams. So then when you answer that question, and you know the difference between the best ones and the worst ones, and you've counted all the teams, then you need to answer that one. How are we training team leaders to make more teams like the best ones? Because just to remember, if work is teams, which is basically true, then teams are made in large part by team leaders. How are we training the team leaders to be great at this team thing? And most of us would go, how are we doing what? No, we don't, what? No. No, we train our team leaders on compliance, and we train them on how to use the software, and we train them on, well, there was this book that this guy wrote called The Problem with Change, so we handed that out and hoped that that was sort of it. But we don't go, what's the difference between a great team and a struggling team, and what does the team leader do? And then we don't build a system to help the team leader do that. And so in that, we miss 70% of the experience of work. A little while ago, I was asked to go to a rather funny thing, even by the standards of my life, which is full of slightly funny things. I was asked to go to a rather funny thing because it was a celebration of life for a team. Right? Celebrate. And it called itself that. Hey, Ashley, we're having a celebration of life for a team. Would you please come? And it was a team that I had been part of the organization that I led at Cisco, and there was a reorg, and the team was being disbanded after, I think, 6 years of working together. And so they had many things they could have done in response to this. I think what most of us would have done is gone off somewhere and cursed and thrown things and stomped around a little bit. But this lot decided to have a celebration of life, and they invited me. And I'm like, I'm happy to come to whatever this thing is. And they were all HR people, so there was a facilitator and an agenda. And it was the most beautiful experience. We went around and people shared their memories of the work that they had done together and what had made it special and what they would take with them to the next phase of their careers. And they had breakout groups and they had all the paraphernalia. And it was like a little mini offsite, if you like, all virtual, people from around the world to celebrate the life of this team. Why would you do that? Why on earth would somebody do that? This was a group of people who suddenly needed to find new jobs, suddenly needed to figure out what next was, suddenly needed to figure out what COBRA is and how do I get... A bunch of stuff happens to you when your employer says no longer employed. Bunch of stuff. All of it's urgent. A lot of it is very low down on the Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? There's a lot of survival stuff that comes along really quickly. Why would you stop that for an hour and have a celebration of life for a team? I think there are two parts to the answer. The first is that team had given these people this beautiful special set of conditions that we've been talking about this morning. It had given them a sense of belonging, it had given them predictability, it had given them agency, it had given them ritual, it had given them meaning. So they wanted to celebrate having been given those things. And the second reason to have a celebration of life is that that's rare. That's vanishingly rare at work. And they all knew how rare it was. And they wanted to be grateful to their teammates for creating this experience for everybody. We need this not to be rare. It cannot be rare that having a rewarding experience at work is such an unusual thing. It cannot be rare.